Hi and welcome. In this demo I want to show you how you can use Git Stash. Git Stash is very helpful if you are in the middle of applying changes to a source controlled project and you will need to store these changes that you've made to maybe perform some other changes, commit these to the branch, and then you want to revert back and return back to the work that you were doing previously. I will show you how to use it. If you're curious, stay tuned. For this demonstration, I will be using a very simple example. I will be using a Docker file and a README file that I have under source control, and I will also using Visual Studio Code that I have installed. Visual Studio Code is very helpful here because I can go ahead and have my terminal displayed as well as the text and the code in my files. So before we get started, let's make sure that we have everything set up correctly. And I'm just running a git status. So here I'm just running my git status. I hit enter and I will see I'm on my stash demo branch. There's nothing currently to commit and I have a clean working tree, meaning I have nothing currently staged to be committed to Git. In this example too, I'm using GitLab, but these commands that I will be showing you do apply for GitHub as well. Let's go ahead and make a change to our Docker file. So I am here in my Docker file, and I will just simply, for demonstration purposes, go ahead and add a comment. This is a change I made. Let's leave it at that. Let's save the file, and let's also make a change to our readme.md. Let's add something else in here. This is another change. I'll just keep it very simple. Okay, so now I've made a change to my Docker file and I've made a change to my readme.md file. There's two different ways I can go ahead and now add these changed files to my Git staging area so that I then can at one point commit them to my stash demo branch. And the way that I can do this is I can run a git add -A that will add all the modified files in one swoop, or I can just simply run a git add Docker file and then a git add readme.md. So either way would have worked fine. I have now added each file separately. Adding them separately is helpful when you have a lot of files and you make changes, only add specific files or in specific files, that as you make the change you can add them to your staging area. If you want to see what's currently in your staging area in Git and what is ready to be committed, you can run a git status -s, and if you're now hitting enter, you will see that I have currently two files in my staging area that are ready to be committed, which is my Docker file and my readme.md, with this change here in my readme file and this change that we've made here in our Docker file. Assuming the scenario that I'm in the middle of working on my stash demo branch and now I have to make actually a completely different change, and I want to revert these changes that I have currently staged here, but I do not want to lose them. So what can I do best? I could go ahead and just commit these changes and create a new branch, but that may not be the best solution. So there is the git stash command that you can use to temporarily save and stash away the changes that you've made so far. So let's go ahead and to do that. If I'm just simply running a git stash, that's all that needs to be run, and I hit enter, you will get a message back that the saved working directory and index state work in progress whip on stash demo. So what this means is it has successfully stashed away your changes that you've made so far within this project and saved it temporarily. And you see too, my Docker file up here, for example, I do not have my comment in here anymore. And if I'm going over to the readme.md, you will see too that the title that we've added here is removed as well. Now I can go ahead and make other changes in here. So let's go ahead and just add a different comment here. This is a change. No, that's not how you write. Change after I stashed my other change. Just to make it obvious, I'm adding something longer here. And let's save this. So now I have made this change. Let's go ahead and run a git add Docker file, and I'm adding this right now to my staging area, so I can check this simply again with a git status -s, and you see none of these other two changes that we've made before we stashed our changes are currently in our staging area, and only the change that I've just made is in the staging area. Let me go ahead and clear my screen down here so that I'm not running out of space. And now we can go ahead and do a commit. So we just do a git commit. And I'm just putting the commit message as changes after stashing. And I will hit enter. And now we just do a git push. We push our changes because we have made the changes that we were supposed to, and now we can push it to our branch. What was our branch name again? I forgot already. So we do a git push origin, and then we push to our stash demo branch. I'll hit enter, and it will go ahead and push the changes. Let me go ahead and clear my screen again, and let's run a git status. Okay, so everything has been committed. Let's run a git status -s, and you see there's currently nothing changed. So we're still on our stash demo branch. Our changes that we've made previous to this last change that we have committed are still stashed away. And now let's take a look how we get these changes back. To get the changes back that we have stashed away, all you would need to do is run a git stash, and then you run a git stash pop. So that's all you need to do, git stash pop. And if we hit enter, now you see there is a conflict, which is similar, or it's a merge conflict, which was to be expected because we've made changes to our files before. We've reset it to a clean working directory, meaning our changes were removed. We saved that. We made different changes, and now our files are accepting incoming changes from our stash. So we can actually resolve these here in Visual Studio Code. And the changes that I have here are the current change is what I currently have in my file. This is a change after I stashed my other change. And then this is the incoming change. This is what we have stashed away. So in this case, I want to revert back to what my files were before I had to make the other changes. So I'm accepting the incoming change, and I can just simply click here. And then if I go into my README, that is perfectly fine. So we can go ahead and just save this. So the README does not give me a merge conflict because all that happens here is I've added this title. It's not that I have added a title and it will be overwritten. It will just add it, and it shows me here with this M as modified. So we're perfectly fine right now. We have go ahead and we have accepted our change here, and we have the modified file here. So I've saved this, and now I can do a git add, and now for example I'm running a git add -a, and I hit enter. And if I'm now running a git status -s, you will see I have back I have Now in my Git staging area, the Docker file and the README file, both as modified. I have my Docker file back to what I had before we committed, and I also have my README file back to before we committed the other changes. And this is how you can, on a very basic level, use Git stash to store away temporarily changes that you've made on a branch, then apply other changes, commit them, and then revert back to the work that you were in the middle of, for example, and restore them. I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.